If you look at the position of the one who gives and the one who receives, the one who gives is higher. The hand that gives is usually up or upper or higher than the hand that receives. You see, the Bible says that the less is blessed of the better. So the one who gives is a better position or position of advantage than the one who usually receives. So the giver appears to have more power or more position, a better position, is better endowed than the one receiving. Thanks. That is why the one who receives is supposed to give thanks or thank. Now, thanks, as we say in our local parlance, or we say in our can, medase, thank you, means the person who is thanking is lower, comes to lie at your feet or comes to lie lower. Medase. Are you in a position of trust, a position a position of advantage where you give privileges, opportunities, blessings, you give chances to people to be better off or to become better off, to raise people up in such a position, and therefore they tend to come and thank you, or become lower than you are. Then we need to be cautious and careful. There are people using this position to take undue advantage of others. In a position where you bless people, you give people room, you give people jobs, you give people privileges, you give people opportunities to better themselves and all that. You give people money, you sponsor people's education and other things. It's a position we need to exercise caution, because these are people who are indebted to us. And when they are indebted, many of the times they are vulnerable. And God is watching how we conduct ourselves or how we respond to them, because some of them, they can even willingly offer themselves to you. And they become so indebted that almost anything you ask them to do for you, they will do for you. And that's why you have to be careful, because God is the ultimate recipient of thanks. God has put us in certain positions of trust for a cause, for a purpose. We are put there not to abuse these positions. We are put there to be a channel, because obviously they cannot get that courtesy they are getting without your assistance. There are some people, they cannot connect to higher places, they cannot connect to certain people in society until they pass through you. They cannot get that privilege, that courtesy, or that kindness without you in the picture. And so once you are in the picture, you need to remember, and that is what God told the Israelites in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. Remember the Lord your God, that it is He who gives you power to make wealth. So we are in a position of trust. God has given us power to make wealth, power to bless others, power as a conduit, a channel of blessings. We are not a source in ourselves. We are His channel. We are not a receptacle or a reservoir. We are a channel of God's blessings. And so we should be careful, so that when people come to say thank you to us, they don't come and we take undue advantage of their vulnerability or nakedness, quote unquote, because when people are in tight conditions, they are stressed, or they are in a tight corner, they are vulnerable, they tend to be vulnerable, and they may do anything, and sometimes things that are unbecoming. Very, very helpless, and we need to be careful how we handle such people, because God is watching, and if you are not careful, it will put us in danger of judgment. And so, beloved, while people thank us, in fact, we should even be mirrors of God, reflecting the thanks. Take it. No, don't worry, don't mention it. Of course, they have to come and thank us when we do something good for them. But when they come, it doesn't end in ourselves. We turn back to God and say, Lord, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be a blessing to such people. Lord, thank you. Where you have put me, where you have put us, that people come, we help them solve their problems, connect them to people who can help them, give them cash or kind advice and so on, counsel and so on, guidance and so on. It is an uncommon privilege. Like the Bible tells us in the same Luke 17, it says, verse 10, it says that If somebody, before you get to verse, if somebody has a servant, goes out and comes back, will he ask the servant to cook for himself and eat? No, you will tell the servant, cook for me, serve me, and after that, you can go and look for your own. And many times it is even the surplus when they have taken the best for their masters. And so likewise, when we have done those things that God has guided us to do, we should say that we are an unprofitable servant, and what we did was our duty to do. So we need to have this in mind, have this kind of consciousness that whatever we are doing, we may be in a position of power or trust. And that position, anything can happen. There's a saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you don't remember where you came from, if you don't remember that God gave you the opportunity to be a blessing, you may abuse that opportunity. And people tend to do a whole lot of things. Some are sleeping with employees, youngsters. They are sleeping with them. Some are doing things unbecoming because of their position. A position of thanks. A position where they are receiving thanks. And in fact, some of them are indeed receiving thanks. And this thanks is coded. I guess you understand what I'm talking about. And it shouldn't be so. We are just channels. The thanks must be reflected back to God, who gives us opportunity to be a blessing to others. Thanksgiving, besides all I've said, Thanksgiving, is gratitude servitude? No. There are people who do things for you and they think that all your life you should be a slave to them, or gratitude is interpreted as servitude. If I have helped you to go to school, then all your salaries bring me tithe or something like that. If I have helped you to get married, then I should be seeing you often. You should be doing something good to me often. If I've helped you, but if that was the case, then that should be typical of parents, because parents did almost everything for us to go to school. But yet parents don't place demand on us and say by hook or crook do this or that. No, we are supposed to be wise and be grateful to them. But there are other people, a fraction of kindness, a speck of kindness, and they want you to be so grateful. I mean, overly grateful. They want you to more or less be a servant, as if gratitude implies servitude. No. If you have been kind to somebody